You're watching Notepad with me, Ibrahim Sani. Remember the story of the Cambodia 47? We're talking about the 47 Malaysians, most of them Sarawakians, youth at that, were arrested and detained without charge in Cambodia. Very recently, they were brought home after much tumultuous period. But during the process, we have conversed with a lot of people. One of them is the MP of Julau from Sarawak, Larry Sng. He's joining me very shortly. But today, we want to give a little bit more focus into the ongoings of what happened between the dates that they were arrested until they were released and safely back home in Malaysia. But more importantly, why were they not charged? On the 11th of December last year, we saw the arrest of the 47 Malaysians with some Chinese nationals at that. But no news arrived on Malaysian shores until the 7th of February when we saw, 7th of February this year at that, when we saw a press conference done by YB Larry Sng. So here, to join me, we have YB Larry to discuss at length about the things that are happening. YB, thanks again for taking time ahead of your busy schedule. Of course, you're based in Kuching, in Julau, and flying into Kuala Lumpur to discuss this with us.
Thank you.
The conversation is very serious here. And it's not just about the 47 Malaysians being detained. It's the fact that we didn't know about it for many, many days and months. Could you describe to us the story or the chronology of how things were the time that they were arrested until the day that you did your press conference?
Sure. This all happened in December of last year. And December of last year, we had 47 Malaysians who were in two different localities, two different houses. From what I understand, is just prior to the 11th of December, which was the day they were locked up, there was an altercation in the house. There was some fighting, and as a result of that, the neighbors got information of this, reported to the police. The police raided the place on the 11th. Subsequently, all 47 were identified and sent to a police lockup. A week later, 8 nationals from a different nationality were released, and 47 of them were sent to prison. They were also asked to sign documents in Cambodian language, which they did not understand. And subsequently, they were in prison and were not notified to the Malaysian authorities for a period of over 16 days. So during this time, there were some members of the family who were from Sarawak who were very concerned. They approached me, a person by the name of Uncle Azra approached me to see whether we can assist in this case. He had himself gone down to Cambodia to find out more information. So he had traveled to Cambodia in December, late December. They found out only from the press in December on the 28th that there was a lockup of 47 Malaysian individuals, and very, very little information came out of prison. Now, Malaysian embassy also didn't have much information at hand. And so I was brought into the picture. I was asked 2 days before, which is on the 5th of February, to see whether I'll be interested to raise this issue. And of course, for me, it is an issue of national importance, because not only are there 47 Malaysian individuals, which is quite a big number, but in addition to that, at that point in time, I was also informed that they were from the ages of 18 to 20, and they were involved in a human trafficking job scam, you know, which is something that could happen to anyone, you know, given that everyone's trying to look for jobs, high-paying jobs in particular. So it's because of that reason I brought up in the press conference on the 7th of February, together with members of the families and also NGOs based in Sarawak, to highlight this issue and to also express our concern and hope that the Malaysian authorities will take the appropriate actions to find out more information about this and also to assist where possible. So after our press conference, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Saifuddin Abdullah, he subsequently made a call to the Cambodian counterpart, who happened to be the Deputy Prime Minister of Cambodia, concerning this issue, to verify the information and also seek their support. I myself wrote into the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Wisma Putra, to request for assistance, to be given permission to go to Banteay Minchai. That's where they were being held, Banteay Minchai Provincial Prison, to see for myself and also to bring members of the media and family members to understand the situation better. Now, many of these families, they themselves did not know that their loved ones were in prison. Many of them were out of touch since December. They didn't have information on which country they were in, what happened to them. So as a result, as you can imagine, many were very concerned. Now, of the 47, we managed to bring 2. Many others who were poor, they wanted to go, but they couldn't raise enough funds. So we had to take necessary measures, including in one particular case, we even had to release her, request from the insolvency department to allow her to travel because she had a case, a bankruptcy case, sometime before that. So we had to take many various measures, to ensure their safe passage. So when we reached there in February 13.
February 13. So this is 1 week after the PC.
Less than 1 week after the PC. We went with the Malaysian representative from the embassy, and also with our entourage, and as well as meeting up with the provisional prison guards in Banteay Minchai. We understood the situation. We met the 47 Malaysian detainees. We also understand that they have been well taken care of. For the Muslims who were detained, the prison guard, head of the prison guard, even went out of his way to use some of his own money to buy halal food for them. And you can see generally that they're okay. They don't look particularly malnourished. Yeah, they look all right. They look all right. They don't look abused. So I think the Cambodians took an initiative to make sure that they were well taken care of. But of course, we were not given the opportunity to go into the prison cells. But from what we gather is that prison cells in prison conditions in Cambodia is not exactly very comfortable either. So in a space where you would normally fit maybe 6 individuals, I was told that there were maybe 20 inmates, 20 detainees. And because of those conditions, some of our detainees also developed skin irritation. And as a result, we also had a doctor on hand to treat these patients when we were there on the 13th of February. Now, we left Cambodia from Siem Reap on the 14th. Now, on the 14th, the Sarawak delegation came in, headed by their minister. They went to meet the same individuals. Then subsequently after that, they went to Phnom Penh to try to discuss with the officials there. But on the 15th of February, the minister, Dr. Othman, who is a senior minister from Cambodia, he was in Banteay Minchai to release the prisoners. So what we understand is that all this has been already discussed. The Prime Minister of Cambodia, Hun Sen, has already been briefed, and also the findings have shown that the 47s were innocent and they were scammed into believing that there was high-paying jobs, and thus he has released them on the 15th. So I'm glad that all this have been resolved fairly smoothly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll discuss a little bit more about the government-to-government relations in terms of releasing the Cambodia 47. Don't go anywhere. Thanks for staying on with us. You're watching Notepad with me, Ibrahim Sani. Today we're discussing the Cambodia 47 with the person that is, alerted the press and alerted the public about the whole scenario. With me is YB Larry Sng, the MP of Julau from Sarawak. YB, thanks for giving us a little bit of a rundown to the chronology of the events that took place. I want to understand a little bit better about the statement that you keep on making, job scam,
Sure.
Because the Cambodian authorities have not budged from their allegations in terms of them committing crimes, including illegal casino operator and a bunch of other host of issues. But they were never, the 47 were never formally charged, and they were having a tough time getting hold of lawyers for themselves. Why is it that you claim that it's a job scam, it's a way for them to be extorted of their cash? but the Cambodian authorities are not saying that. Even Wisma Putra doesn't go as much as agreeing with you that it was a scam. Why do you think it was a job scam?
Well, from the information that we gathered from members of the family who had visited the detainees since December, this Uncle Azra, he had actually met up with the detainees on a one-to-one basis. And during his discussions with them, he found out that many of them had been brought into Cambodia staggered, staggered period of time since the middle of last year. So some came in October, some in November, some in December, and they were also given the impression that they're given high-paying jobs in hotel, and some were informed that they will be given jobs elsewhere. So due to that piece of information, we understand also that when they reached Cambodia and they were imprisoned in the house, they were not allowed to leave the house. They were not allowed to communicate with anyone outside of the house. And whenever there was no food, food would suddenly appear. Whatever provisions they needed, it would appear the next day. So from there, we can tell that they were being kept captive. And during that time, they were also made to learn how to go online, to learn online gaming. So from there, we can see that from the information that they were given in Malaysia to the information or the jobs that they were asked to do in Cambodia is totally different. But of course, what they have always maintained was that they were never actually working when they were in the house in Cambodia.
You keep on referencing Azra again and again. How did Azra come into the picture? Why was he brought in into the whole discussion back in 28th December or a few days after Christmas last year?
Yes, Azra is actually a family member, a friend of the family. Is also my personal friend as well, and he was someone who was very concerned, when he couldn't get information about the whereabouts of his friends.
So it's actually quite interesting because he's friends with the family of which the children were detained.
Correct.
And throughout the process, he's been trying to find more information about the individuals involved. Do you think that there was some hesitation from the 47 in terms of trying to contact the relevant authorities, contacting the embassy, contacting the police, Wisma Putra, whatever? Why was there little to no contact from the 47 in reaching out to the authorities, be it here in Malaysia or that in Cambodia?
I think when they were in prison, their handphones and was actually taken away from them, so they were not able to reach out to the rest of the world. Uncle Azra subsequently made his own initiative to travel to Cambodia, and only when he was in Cambodia did he actually find out from the newspaper that 47 Malaysians were detained. And knowing that information, he made an attempt to go to Banti Minchai, although at first not very successfully because of limited funds. But also he also made the initiative to contact the Malaysian embassy, and I think through his persistence, perseverance, they were able to make contact, and subsequently from there, the embassy also got to know about this.
Now that they're safely on our shores,
sure.
And these are very serious allegations that you're making, of course. Will there be any legal action that will be taken against anybody in Cambodia, be it the state or individual actors within Cambodia, by the 47 or by Wisma Putra? Do you think that there should be any action that should be taken against them?
I think for our position, we are very thankful to the Cambodian authorities. For one, for taking care of the 47 when they were kept in prison, and for two, for releasing them, without any conviction. I think the Cambodian government recognizes the long-standing good relations that we have with Cambodia, and also due to the nature of the case, from the information that we gathered from the detainees, which I'm sure the Cambodians have also investigated the matter thoroughly, have found out that this was actually a job scam. So they were innocent, they were imprisoned in the house, and so therefore there's no need for them to be to press any further charges to the Cambodian authorities or otherwise,
But it's bizarre, YB. I mean, even if you imprison me in your bedroom for 2 days, for whatever reason, I have legal recourse to go out to the public or authority and say, YB, Larry has been falsely imprisoning me, I need to take action. At the very least, if not criminal, at the very least, like a personal conviction, but this is much more serious than that. This is,
yes, of course.
Yeah. Why do you agree with these kind of actions that these family won't press charges?
I think the families are very relieved that not only are they able to find their loved ones, but their loved ones also came back home safe. I think the issue that people have in the back of their head is who was the agent who actually brought the 47 to Cambodia in the first place. Now, from the people I've met, the people who were on the trip with me to Cambodia, we all have the impression that it was actually the foreign nationals who were released earlier, who did not actually end up in prison. I think they were the ones who were the mastermind behind this. Of course, in addition, they must have worked with Malaysian people, but of course, I'm not an investigator, so I am not able to pinpoint exactly. But what is concerning about this case is that of the 47, most of them, the majority, overwhelming majority, 40 of them, in fact, are from Sarawak, and mainly from Kuching, and also some from Cebu. So we can see from this particular case that Sarawakians were actually being targeted for this jobs overseas, this job scam, and I think Sarawakian youth will need to be more careful, more streetwise into taking any future job opportunities overseas. Okay,
YB, we're going to go for a break, but when we come back, I really want to discuss with you the larger picture here. And it's not just about the 47, it's about job opportunities, it's about being alert and aware of the kind of scammers out there and what people in Sarawak should be aware of and people in Malaysia should be aware of. Those are the kind of things that I will discuss after this break. Don't go anywhere. You're still watching Notepad with me, Ibrahim Sani. Today we're discussing the Cambodia 47. With me is YB Larry Sng from the MP of Julau. And YB, if you pull out any statistics and split down into the states, you'll find that Sarawakians would be amongst the poorest, if not the poorest, Malaysians living in any states in Malaysia. They are also cut off from most of the access that many Malaysians get. Be it internet connections, healthcare, education. Generally speaking, Sarawakians are worse off than many Malaysians right now. Is this something that needs to be addressed? Because when we talk about the 47 Malaysians that are mostly Sarawakian youth, they actually went to Cambodia because of the allure to find better job opportunities. They want to have a better lives for themselves, for their families. Where is the critical issue that needs to be resolved by the government and by corporations and actors like yourselves, the representatives of the Sarawakian people?
I think the 47, to begin with, is the tip of the iceberg. There are also many Sarawakians who are currently working overseas, working in far-flung countries, like in Africa, in parts of Russia, in Europe, in Americas, working in difficult environments, working in the oil and gas industries, working in timber-based industries, working in all sorts of industries. And the reason why they do such a thing is not because they don't love working in Malaysia or don't love working in Sarawak, but it's just that it's so difficult to find jobs in Sarawak that pays well. The Sarawakian government, I think in the past, they have been talking about how much they have actually done for the people. But it's a very different situation when you go to the rural constituencies. I come from a place called Julau, and I just recently found out from the Minister of Rural Development that Pakan, which is one district in Julau, is actually the poorest district in the whole of Malaysia. And in Sarawak, there are many districts that are considered and labeled as the poorest in the country. So as a Sarawakian, I feel quite ashamed, that until today, we are still grappling with issues like water, grappling with issues of lack of infrastructure. We are still grappling with issues of housing. We are still grappling with issues of lack of connectivity through internet or phone lines. And yet, we are such a rich state. We have so much resources. We have timber, we have oil and gas, we have minerals, we have whatever we have in West Malaysia, we have in Sarawak. So I think these are issues that the government, not just the state government, but also federal government would need to look at to see how best we can serve the people better.
The state election, let's not kid ourselves, because the state election is upcoming. That's perhaps the next big thing after G14. And the dynamics is a little bit interesting. The state government has departed from Barisan Nasional. They have formed the GPS, so-called, and they're a collection of political parties that align with the state government. The federal government also has a very interesting relationship with the state government because they are not considered opposition, but in a position of I should say, interesting dynamic right now. And with your party, PKR, making inroads in Sarawak, Bersatu is also having aspirations of going there, will things like this eventually come to a meltdown before the state election comes about? Or is there something that can be said about the political parties that are in or going into Sarawak ahead of the general elections that can actually bring benefit good towards the people of Sarawak?
Yeah, thank you for that question. That's a very difficult question to answer, but nonetheless, I'll try my best. The Sarawakian people, they are very observant into what's the political development in West Malaysia as well as within Sarawak. Now, of course, in my party, PKR, we are focused on how best we can develop the country and also to bring benefit to Sarawakians. From now to the state election, we'll be doing our best. And our YBs, our elected representatives, both in state and also in federal, are doing their best to meet the people, to explain the policies that we have enacted in the federal government, and to see how best we can target and also affect positive change to the state as a whole. Of course, the state government, they are currently labeling themselves as a government for Sarawakians, for Sarawak. That seems to be the motto that they seem to carry with them. But the problem is that, why is it that if they are fighting for Sarawak, why are Sarawakians working abroad, Why are there not enough jobs in Sarawak? Why are there issues in Sarawak which hasn't been addressed until today, So for them to have departed from BN, to me, is just like putting old wine in a new bottle, They still represent the same politics of yesteryears. I'm sure they're not exactly they're clean. So I think for them to change the name doesn't necessarily mean that they change their attitude or their policies and how they handle and develop the state, which I think is something that the Pakatan Harapan government would do much better should they win the state election in 2 years' time.
Well, let's talk about the power that you already have right now. The people of Julau has elected you into the House of Representatives. What kind of work have you been doing for the people of Julau over the past 10 months or so? Are you doing enough for the people of Julau?
Okay, first of all, for me, Julau is a huge constituency. It's the size of maybe Melaka plus Perlis, in total. So
represented by one MP.
Represented by one MP. So for me, it's very important to get to know the place and also the people. So during these 10 months, I've been making several trips back to Julau. I make it a commitment to actually travel back every weekend, to meet the people, and also to use whatever funding that's been provided by the federal government to disperse to those areas. Julau, as you know, it's a rural-based constituency. And because it's a rural-based constituency, there are many areas where there's lack of infrastructure, lack of roads, lack of lack of connectivity, whether it's through telephone lines or internet for that matter. And so it's very important for us for a person like myself to actually identify those areas, to write to the relevant authorities in government, to seek funding, to seek the projects, and also to propose areas where we can actually develop those areas for the people. I have already submitted requests for roads amounting to hundreds of millions of ringgit, hoping that maybe the federal government will look into this issue to help them.
YB, we don't have much time left, but for the people that want to take a lesson in terms of not being duped by scams and these kind of fake things that are currently plaguing Malaysians, what kind of message do you want to speak to them?
I think it's very important that for youth in particular, should they consider looking for jobs overseas, it's very important that now that Wisma Putra has actually opened the channels, for them to seek information, to actually cross-check with the relevant authorities, to make sure that those companies that they are looking for employment, companies that are registered, that have a background, have a history, don't go for companies that are those agencies or individuals who open opportunities through social media, for instance, which we found out in this case, 47, they found out their jobs through WeChat, through Facebook, and through WhatsApp. I think those platforms are not very established.
Quite dubious.
I think, So we have to make sure that we know who are our employers, and to make sure that they have the ability to not only take care of the employees, but also to send them back safely.
Thank you, YB, for having us. I've been speaking to YB Larry Sng, MP of Julau, regarding the Cambodia 47 and the larger issues surrounding it. Be sure to catch these kind of interviews on all our social platforms, including our website at extraordinary.com/notepad. That's it from me. Thanks very much for watching, and goodbye. Thank you, sir.